Dear Professor Ulatowski, what elements of philosophy of the Lvov-Warsaw School you find the most valuable and interesting?
You know, that's a really difficult question because Ulatowski, as well as the Lvov-Warsaw School, have left us a great legacy of philosophic work in pretty much every sub-discipline within philosophy. But I'd say that the lasting impact I think we'll see from the Lvov-Warsaw School comes not only from the philosophy of mind and nature of intentionality, the sorts of things with which Ulatowski was most impressed by and I think had a deep interest in it pursuing throughout his career, but also the students of his and the legacy that they've made and the mark that they've made within metaphysics, ethics, as well as logic for that matter. So I think that what truly stands out amongst the Lvov-Warsaw School members is that the students, as much as the teacher, really matter most for moving forward within the discipline.
Would you agree that the conception of philosophical investigations in the Lvov-Warsaw School was interdisciplinary and somehow similar to what we call interdisciplinarity nowadays?
100%. I think that's exactly what I think comes away from the Lvov-Warsaw School, is just how dramatic an impact they had outside of philosophy, in psychology and sociology, even in anthropology, as well as mathematics. And so that's a legacy that is going to be resonating for quite some time. I mean, just in thinking about some of the contributions that have been made to this conference over the last few days, we can see the ways in which the work of perhaps someone like Kazimierz has some role to play with Gödel, who's traditionally understood as a mathematician. Right? And so, or perhaps even Charles Hartshorne, otherwise understood as a philosopher of religion, yes, but in fact, you know, maybe even a natural theologian, if you will. So I think there's a tremendous amount of impact that will be outside of philosophy as well.
And one of the most important elements of methodology of the Lvov-Warsaw School is the use of logic, in fact mathematical logic. Not only those philosophers who use the mathematical logic, but also others had to somehow incorporate logical thinking in their practicing philosophy. Do you think the knowledge of logic and applying logical methods helps to solve philosophical questions?
Yes, I absolutely believe that you need a good foundation within logic to do philosophy in any of its subdisciplines. In fact, it's unfortunate that at least on some parts of the world that it seems that logic is taking a bit of a downturn. I think we need to actually make sure that that does not go away, because in order to make good arguments within any of the subdisciplines, we need a good solid foundation within logic. I think that's one of the things that we certainly have learned from the Lvov-Warsaw School and its members, that it is fundamental to good philosophic argumentation that you have a grounding in principles of logic.
And one of your most important interests in philosophy is the theory of truth. What was contribution of the Lvov-Warsaw School to the theory of truth?
There have been many contributions of the Lvov-Warsaw School to theories of truth. I mean, starting with Ulatowski, for example, in his 1900 paper on so-called relative truths, he was deeply interested in undermining relative truths to show that truth is absolute and objective. But he set the school and its members on a course. Amongst other members of the school, like Maria Kokosinska, Alfred Tarski, Stanislaw Lewczewski, Jan Łukasiewicz, amongst others. They were deeply interested in the nature of truth and coming to understand and appreciate just what truth is. It wasn't just a matter of, say, looking at it from one direction, but rather trying to come up with ways to resolve the issue. What really matters to truth? Is it truth a correspondence between a truth bearer and reality, or truth maker? Is it a semantic conception of truth which can be kind of easily defined, I should say, tongue-in-cheek in terms of linguistic or otherwise logical matters? Or is it something we just have to continually wrestle with because it is such a part of our natural language to deal with like truth or true or false claims within politics or society for that matter? And right now we're living through an age where it looks like people's disrespect for truth comes to the surface too often. And what we need to learn is that people who have worked on truth, such as those members of the Lvov-Warsaw School, really do play an integral role in ensuring that we don't lose sight of our fact-finding and truth-based, if you will, claims.
You also made some research recently about female members of the Lvov-Warsaw School, including Izydora Dąbska and Maria Ossowska. Do you find their ideas interesting, valuable?
I think these are the most underrepresented folks in Lvov-Warsaw School, but I think it's coming to, how should we say, a maturity. I think that what we find is that when you look at their work, they are contributing in ways that are unique, that should have a legacy of their own. And we need to really pay attention to that. And as you mentioned, Domska's work on truth is critical for understanding different ways in which you can conceive of a concept versus a conception. And these are debates that are occurring right now within the discipline of philosophy across metaphysics and epistemology. So I think we have to return to that work to really better appreciate our own views. And then secondly, I want to speak a little bit to the Maria Olszewska's work, in fact. Like a lot of members of various schools, it's kind of faded away, but she needs to come back, and everybody has to really think through about what she said and the nature of ethics and the way in which we can actually look to say non-philosophical, non-academic views of truth and the way that role plays and how that understands rightness and wrongness within moral philosophy. She was truly a thought leader, if we want to call Maria Olszewska that, when she did produce her works on moral philosophy. And we should really return to those to ensure that we don't let that work go unrecognized.